So the whole Sebastian Vettel retiring thing has kicked off one massive domino effect and kicked off a lot of rumours online at the same time. But there is one driver who is currently in the lurch about his F1 future, and that man is Daniel Ricciardo. Because we need to be clear right off the bat, Ricciardo just hasn't been good enough since he arrived at McLaren. Now I know a few of you are going to be writing in the comments right now, but he won at Monza last year. Well, we have a saying in English. One swallow does not a summer make. I mean, Pastor Maldonado won a Grand Prix. World class on your day doesn't make you world class. After that Italian Grand Prix victory, Ricciardo only scored points at 3 more races towards the end of 2021. He was 4th in Russia, 13th in Turkey, but followed that with a 5th in Austin, before a 12th in Mexico, a non-finish at Brazil, 12th in Qatar, 5th in Saudi Arabia, and then 12th at Abu Dhabi. This season, in 13 races at the time of writing, he's only found the points 4 times, while Norris has scored in all but 2 of the races he's finished. As a result, Norris sits 7th in the Drivers' Championship on 76 points, while Ricciardo is 12th on 19. That's 12th, behind Kevin Magnussen. And with the whole Piastri to McLaren looking more and more likely with every passing minute, it's no surprise that it's going to be Ricciardo's head on the old chopping block. Ricciardo just doesn't seem to have adapted to the car like Norris has. Whether that's because the 2022 cars don't suit his driving style, whether the car and team is more geared towards Lando, I mean, who knows? But the fact remains he just hasn't been getting the results, and Alpine will be handed 4th in the Constructors on a plate if this trend continues. Ricciardo does have a contract for 2023, but McLaren says it has mechanisms in place to get him out of that contract, which can be assumed to be some sort of performance-based clause that they can activate to get rid of him. Now, Zak Brown has also apparently talked to him about his performances, and they both seem to want to work on getting better. But the longer this goes on, the less time available is apparent, and the longer the queue for a seat gets, with Piastri first in line, it seems. Which is a rather sad thing to see, to be honest. When Ricciardo was at Red Bull, he was touted as being a future champion, but ended up being the victim of circumstance. Okay, he did win 3 races in 2014 while teammate and defending champion Vettel couldn't, but in 2015 he was beaten by his teammate Danny Kvyat. Then in 2016 Kvyat was dumped for Verstappen, and that was pretty much it for Ricciardo as far as winning a title at Red Bull goes. Ricciardo replaced Vettel, and now Verstappen is replacing him. Such is the Red Bull way. Ricciardo did beat Verstappen in 2017, but after a 2018 season where his engine started blowing up as soon as he looked at the accelerator pedal, he needed a way out. He managed to score himself a move to Renault in 2019, which was looked at with some scepticism. Being paid a lot of money to drive a lesser car led to the nickname the Money Badger. Then managed to get his way into McLaren in 2021, a team that looked like it was on its way back forward, and the partnership of Ricciardo and Norris looked set to be a very good one. But only Lando seemed to be getting any good results. But it was a new team for Ricciardo, so some teething problems were to be expected. And yes, he did win the 2021 Italian Grand Prix, which seems to be the default argument whenever anybody says that he hasn't been good enough. But this season, with a new car that's going to be built more to him and as well as Lando, well, Lando's just been rinsing him. Which in a way gives McLaren the perfect excuse to boot him for Piastri. But where does Ricciardo go from here? Well, there are 2 options. The first is Alpine. With the Piastri situation raging on, Piastri in the McLaren and Ricciardo back to Alpine seems a logical choice that can keep all parties happy. Ricciardo gets a fresh start. Again. And he might be able to salvage something out of a career that seems to have stalled and keeping an, admittedly, decent driver locked into the midfield. Sort of like this generation's Jenson Button, really. There is also Williams. With Albon already tied down, there is another free seat, but you would think that Williams would be looking internally to fill that slot with someone like Logan Sargent, who would be a good commercial option given the fact he's American. With the Piastri to Williams stuff effectively over, Latifi has been offered a lifeline there too. But Williams, like McLaren, wants results. But yeah, that's one for later. But there is a third way. There is also stuff going on in the background about Mick Schumacher supposedly getting out of the Ferrari Driver Academy and opening up a move elsewhere. If Mick leaves Haas, which I can't see happening at the minute because, where the hell does he go? I mean, there is to Alpine, but I can't see it. There has also been whisperings of Ricciardo going stateside to join IndyCar or NASCAR, Europe's feeder series rendering America's feeder series redundant, it seems, at the minute. But, you know, Ricciardo is a well-known Yankeephile and probably would fit in very well in either of those two series, but he did come out on record as saying he didn't want to do NASCAR or IndyCar because he hated ovals. But, you know, IndyCar only races at like 3 ovals outside of the 500 at the minute, and Grosjean only did the street and road stuff last season and is now doing the full thing this season, so, you know, you can still adapt. Whereas Scott McLaughlin just said, right, where do I sign up, where do I go, how fast do you want me to go, and just did them like an absolute lad. But if Ricciardo really does hate ovals that much, then NASCAR's definitely off the table. As already mentioned, it seems like a really bad spot for Ricciardo to be in. He was touted as being a future champion, but seemed to be in the right place at the wrong time, with Verstappen coming into Red Bull. Now he's milling around the midfield, but while Red Bull was right place, wrong time, this whole thing hasn't been helped by him not getting the results. Yes, he is a casualty of the whole Piastri that's going on, but Ricciardo hasn't really helped himself. If his results had been better, I'd probably not be making this video. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Yes, he's a nice guy and always smiling, but nobody's going to care if he's not delivering. F1 is a results game, not a nice guy game. Unless you're Jim Clark, obviously. So anyway, this has been a thing that has happened in the world of motorsport, and this is my opinions on that thing. If this thing has made you think things about the thing, click the like button thing and also click the subscribe button thing so you never miss out on anything that I do on this thing. Massive thanks to the kind folk at Patreon for the continued support, and if you wish to help the image buying fund, which is what Patreon is, you can support by heading to the link in the description, or click the super thanks button if you just want to buy me a coffee or whatever. Oh, and down there as well will be links to Discord and also to my socials. So until next time, I've been Aidan Millward. Have a great day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again soon for another video. Bloody traffic. Goodbye.